So that was oh, go ahead, Marilyn.
I just want to let everybody know that there's 3 months of calendar up here on the bulletin board.
Okay.
Upcoming events. I just want to let everybody know that.
Okay, and then I'll if I remember, I don't know what I did in my bulletin, but if I remember, I will.
Ann is one of the.
Okay. Well, let's get started in the song. So again, we have a theme. The theme is love, but the purpose of the book, this is what I believe the purpose of it is so that we can enhance our understanding of love and what it is and how we can enhance our love for our spouse, our love for each other, but most of all, our love for Jesus Christ and what He's done for us. And I think we can see that. Last week we got started, or whenever it was we was here, we got started in the first 3 verses, and we saw I believe we saw the love from the Shulamite dealing with Solomon about his character. Your ointment is a fragrance that I love to be around, and is dealing with his character. So she was uplifting him for who he was, and so the conversation continues. Now, I'll probably repeat this often as we go through this book. It's a I don't want to say confusing book, but the story, I don't see the story just flow for me. It doesn't work that way. I've read where commentators and such have talked about, well, they're going through a betrothal, engagement, a banquet, a wedding, a honeymoon, and I don't see that. And if you do, wonderful. I hope you enjoy it. But I don't see that flow that way. But what I have seen, and I think what I'm going to try to bring out is the aspects of love that the two are sharing back and forth. What I'm having fun with now is understanding the culture and and how that applies to their conversations back and forth. And you'll see what I'm talking about, I think, here in just a minute. But when they describing their love for each other and what that means, and I think we could learn a lot from this as well. You know, guys, if we can express our love and our gratitude the way Solomon is to the Shulamite, you might get a pretty nice dinner, from your wife, but it's a part of that enhancing our relationship with each other that I see that we could really glean from this. So in starting in verse 4, he's the Shulamite, and again, remember that because of the I like to read this. I wrote it down, but the gender and the audience are identified according to the number, gender, and person of the Hebrew word. I am not a Hebrew scholar. You guys know that, okay? But I don't mind listening and repeating what a Hebrew scholar has said and how they explain it. But the Hebrew language is a pretty unique language in that some of the words are masculine, feminine. The Hebrew words and letters associated with numbers, and you can tell by reading the Hebrew, or a Hebrew person or Hebrew scholar can tell by reading the Hebrew who it is talking and who it is they're talking to. And so my Bible, for instance, has the Shulamite when she's talking. Some Bibles don't have that at all. So the Shulamite, it starts in verse 4, draw me away. This is the Shulamite talking. If you remember here a couple weeks ago when she was talking about the fragrance of Solomon, your name is ointment poured forth. She's talking about your character. I just love to be around you. Draw me away. And it was this term that I just want to be around you. I think about John chapter 12, and Jesus himself answered, and he said, "This voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Now is the judgment of the world. Now the ruler of the world will be cast out." And he says, "And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw people to myself." When Jesus was lifted up, his love, isn't that why we were yet sinners? He died for us, and when you understand that, you're drawn to him, and that's what she's saying. Your character is so beautiful that I just draw me away. Take me out of all the worries of this world and take me with you. And so this is her. Then in that same verse, the next is the daughters of Jerusalem. We will run after you. They even were experiencing her love, and they saw her love for him, and they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to see it. So we will run after you. And then the Shulamite says, "The king has brought me into his chambers, and the daughters of Jerusalem will be glad and rejoice in you. We will remember your love more than wine." The wine is that intoxicating drink that makes us forget what's going on in the world. Well, this love is better than the wine. Isn't it great if you have that kind of love that you just, when you're around your spouse, you just forget about everything else because you just want to be in the presence of them? And especially for Jesus, when you understand who Christ is and you have a relationship with him. Have you ever been in a time of prayer or in a time of reading in your private? And you're reading and you're just so captivated by what you're reading or what you're praying that everything else is forgotten, because you're just in his presence, and that's all that matters. That's captivating. That's better than wine. Wine will, yeah, I guess. I mean, I've never been drunk, so I don't really know, but what I've been told is when you get drunk, yeah, you kind of happy and you kind of forget everything, but when you wake up, it's like, oh, man.
That's about it.
But with love, the love that we experience with Christ is not that way. It's better than wine because it's lasting. You continue to go back and remember it and try to capture it again. The Shulamite says, "Rightly do they love you." And by the way, this is where the Hebrew words, with their numbers and masculinity and all that, when the daughters of Jerusalem in verse 4 say, "We will run after you," they're talking about we're going to run after you, the Shulamite. The king has brought me into his chambers. And then in that same "we will be glad and rejoice in you" is talking about, I had that backwards. The first one's talking about Solomon. The second "you" is talking about the Shulamite. Same word, same Hebrew word. It's confusing, and I just bring that up just because it's the same word, but they're talking about two different people. You get that from, and it doesn't change anything, and maybe I shouldn't even said anything, but it doesn't change the story, the context of the story at all, but it's just talking about who, you can tell who they're talking to in the audience and who they're talking to. I want to get to verse 5, because I thought this was exciting to me. The Shulamite says, "Well, I am dark and lovely. And, O daughters of Jerusalem," I've got to stop here. "O daughters of Jerusalem." That's intriguing. I thought, what does that mean? "O daughters of Jerusalem," because we'll see it several times as we read through the book of the Song of Solomon. The daughters of Jerusalem. Who is the daughters of Jerusalem? I don't know. I think, and it could be a various things, but it's the young virgins, perhaps the heroine of Solomon. You remember when Esther was when they were prepared. Well, bless you. Anyway, you all right there, Mark? I saw you. But when you remember Esther, when she was preparing herself for the king, there was a harem around her, getting her ready, perfuming her, and all that. So these daughters of Jerusalem or the young women of the time. Jesus in Luke 23 refers to the daughters of Jerusalem at one time. You know, and so it's the young ladies, the virgin women that are helping and surrounding the Shulamite here. But she says, I am dark, but I'm lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem. Like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. By the way, when she says she's dark, it is the word black, but it's not talking about a nationality. We're going to find that out here in a minute. No, it's talking about her work. But she says, I am dark. Have you ever been out in the sun and been tanned? And so much, you ever seen somebody so tan that they look like they're from a different nation? You know, and that's what I'm dark, but I'm lovely. She says, like the tents of Kedar. I got intrigued by this. This is what they made their tents out of. It's just they're black. They made them out of these black goat hair, and that's what she's saying. Like the tents of Kedar, I'm black. I'm dark. But she says, I'm lovely, like the curtains of Solomon. Can you imagine what the curtains of Solomon must have looked like, being in royalty? And they were a curtain that would keep the light out too, you know. But I'm sure they were beautiful, and especially from a guy like Solomon that could afford to do whatever he wanted. But I'm dark, I'm lovely. But she says, don't look upon me because I'm dark, because the sun has tanned me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. This is the Cinderella of the story. That's how I look at it. If you go back, this is where I was starting and having some fun with this. When you go back and look at the culture of the time, today in our culture, if a person is tanned, it's really, we're attracted to that. They look good because they got a nice tan. Fact is, there's people that spend gobs of money getting tans. You know, they lay in the bed or they spray it on or however they do it. You know, but just sitting out in the sun getting tanned. Why? Because it's attractive, and they know it's attractive. It looks good. But you know, in the culture of this time was not the case. When they saw, when especially a king or somebody in royalty saw somebody that was tanned, they knew that they were some kind of servant. They knew that they were workers that were out in the fields. They expected the luscious woman and the upright woman that was beautiful would be white, because she would be inside all the time. She would be beautifying herself in other ways. But the tan was actually something that wasn't attractive to them, because again it displayed that they were a servant. They were a lower class person because they had to go out and work. She's saying, I had to go out and work, and this is where you see the Cinderella side. I had to go out and work because my brother's sons were angry with me, probably stepbrothers. My mother's sons were angry with me. The Bible doesn't tell us why they were angry, a family feud. Maybe they're jealous because Solomon likes her, and there's some jealousy that's being displayed there. But they made her work in their vineyard to clean their vineyard. She said, I couldn't even keep my own vineyard. There wasn't enough time. I worked in theirs. I worked hard. I was a servant to them. I worked out in the sun. That's why I'm dark. And I couldn't even keep my own vineyard. Then they go on. She looks at her beloved. This is why the story doesn't flow, because we're going to see she's looking to her beloved, talking to him, but it's like he's not even there. She says, tell me, O whom I love, where you feed your flock, where you make it rest at noon. For why should I be as one who veils herself by the flocks of your companions? Again, I'm going to look at this as a paragraph of love, because I can't make it flow into the story. I don't know where it fits, because one time they're together, one time they're not, one time they're in the tent, one time they're out in the field, one time she's looking for him. I don't know how it all flows. Well, it's different, but we can if we pay attention, we can see the aspects of love here. Just like, don't look at me because I'm dark and tanned. I was forced to do this, but I'm lovely. And talking about that inward beauty. I wonder sometimes too if verse 7 isn't really just a metaphor. I don't know, but tell me, O whom I love, where you feed your flock. Because nowhere in the Bible does it tell us that Solomon was a shepherd. In fact, if you were to ask many scholars, they'd say no, he wasn't. However, if you were to go back and read in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 7, it says he had more horses and more flocks than any other king. He owned them, but perhaps he didn't shepherd them. But obviously he had to hire people to shepherd his flocks and what have you. But and also many times throughout the scriptures, we see where the kings, the leaders, were identified as shepherds, and to shepherd their people. We know that David, Solomon's father, was a shepherd, and maybe David even had him shepherd some sheep. But regardless, he has sheep. Tell me, O whom I love, where you feed your flock. Where do they go to feed? And where do you make it rest at noon? It's as if she's looking for him and can't find him. She's feeding her flock. She got her goats out and looking for his, because the culture of that day would be that when you're moving your sheep from field to field, sheep need to rest. And so it was typically at noon when the shepherds would set their sheep down and go into their tents and take a break. And so this is a time of when the Shulamite is looking for Solomon. Where do you feed your flock? Where do you make it rest at noon? She said, why should I be as one who veils herself by the flocks of your companion? Go back and read sometime in Genesis chapter 38, and you'll see the same clothing that Tamar put on, that she's putting on. This veil that she's talking about, it's a metaphor of a prostitute. She's saying, why should I dress up and look like a prostitute going from tent to tent looking for you? Tell me where you're at. Just where are you? Because as I'm looking around, people are going to think that I'm a prostitute, and I don't want to do that. That's what the veiling means. Why should I be as one who veils herself and to look for you? Solomon, this is the first time Solomon speaks. He says in verse 8, do you not know, O fairest among women? Do you not know, fairest among women? Follow in the footsteps of my flock. I've got notes all over the place. I'm sorry about that. I tell you what, my mind has just been like a ball in a pinball machine. It is just going all over the place. But yeah, this is the one. If this word fairest right here is Yafa in the Hebrew, and it means beautiful. If you don't know, the most beautiful among women. Can you imagine hearing those words from the king to what we would consider a servant girl? Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, young lady, just follow my sheep. My sheep, you can tell the royal sheep. Just follow them. And by the way, bring your sheep with you and let them feed with my sheep. Oh, you're so beautiful. And Well, it's kind of beautiful, really, because it's two people that are madly in love with each other, you know. Solomon, if you go back and read, and we'll get there, if you go and read in Song of Solomon chapter 6 and verse 8, he's got 60 wives already and 80 concubines. But he's got a favorite. He's got a love. Well, yeah, I guess. But, you know, I don't have a lot of cows. But I got a few. But, you know, there are certain cows out there that I like better than my other ones. You know, when I can go out and feed them and I can scratch the head of one and it sits there and just enjoys it, and the other ones are, you know, are backing up, you know. But they all produce calves. They all do that. But there's just some that I like better than others. Solomon had 60 wives already, but there was one that he loved, this Shulamite. Oh, she's beautiful. Well, I said a couple weeks ago, he's the same guy that wrote, continual dropping on a rainy day and contentious woman are alike. It's the same guy that wrote, it's better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than in the same room with a contentious woman. He understood. He understood what the differences of women. But he had one that, oh man, he longed for, he loved. And this one longed for him and loved him, and they wanted to be together. I mean, it's beautiful when we see that love relationship coming together. But then he says, I have compared you, my love. Oh, I love this. My love, by the way, this my love is used, I think, 9 times throughout the Song of Solomon. My love, I like that term. I call Susan my love because she is. She's the one I love. And then, when I talk to her at home, my love, hey, love, when's dinner going to be ready? No, I don't. I don't do that, but she's my love, you know. And so I talk to her that way because I love her. And she's the one and only love for me. And so Solomon's saying, oh, my love. It's the same term. It's a term of endearment. It's like saying darling. Or in Danny, he'd say, hey, babe, wherever. Oh, he already left, didn't he? Well, you got to enjoy that, Ellie. You're the babe. You know, but look what he does. I've compared you, my love, to my filly among Pharaoh's chariots. Okay. I compare you, my love, to a horse. I didn't compare you to a cow. I said I got cows, and there's just certain cows that I love. I did not even have that in my notes, and I wish I hadn't even said anything. I compare you, my love, to my filly among Pharaoh's chariots. When you think about the filly, the horse, in verse. Well, Solomon loved horses. If you go back and read in 1 Kings chapter 4, he had 40,000 stalls of horses. In 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 28, he had horses that were imported from Egypt and India, Arabia. He loved horses. He loved, but that's not the comparison. Again, this is where I was having a little bit of fun going back and understanding what does this mean. It's a compliment, but what does it mean? I compare you, my love, to the filly against Pharaoh's chariots. So when they would go out to battle, the chariots were always pulled by stallions. Did you know that? The stallions pulled the chariots for the chariots of war when they go out. So you know what the enemy did? He would take a mare. And he would send the mare out into the battlefield. And you know what the mare would do? It would distract the stallions. chasing these mares. So can you imagine this guy's having to fight there, and you can see the advantage that the mare would have, and that's what that's the metaphor that Solomon is using. When you're going from tent to tent looking, I've got all my guys that are helping are distracted. They're looking at you, and they're not looking at their sheep. You're distracting because you're so beautiful. That you're loved. You know what today would be in today's vernacular? I hate that Danny's not here. Today's vernacular would be, oh, my love. I would compare you to all the Fords and the Dodges with the 69 candy apple red convertible Camaro with the V8 of a 341 horse motor, but with a turbo 400 transmission and a positive track rear end.
Aren't you excited?
But you see the point. It's if somebody was to pull into and just have this immaculate Camaro all fixed up, we would probably, oh wow, that's a nice car, rather than coming into a little Ford Fiesta. And you don't pay any attention to that, and that's what she was to him, though. It was beautiful. She was like the filly. She was the one that was distracting the enemy's horses. She was the one distracting and everybody was looking at, and as everybody, isn't that beautiful when you got a wife and everybody's looking, but yet she comes up to you and she puts her arms around you and she hugs you, and you're the prize. She's the prize. And that's how they were comparing each other. That was their love for one another. It didn't matter where they were at. They loved following the footsteps of the flock. Feed your little goats beside the shepherd's tents. I've compared you, my love, to my filly. Your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with chains of gold. I like jewelry. I'm not a big jewelry person, but jewelry, I see most of the ladies here have got some kind of jewelry on, and in earrings. Susan will often, hey, does this earring go or this earring go? And she, we put it on to what? To enhance our beauty, to be attractive. Maybe the jewelry has something meaningful, and I didn't put any pictures of the because it's distracting. But the Mideast, especially those ladies that had the jewelry, they would drape it. Some of them even had a pierced nose and then had the jewelry coming up. That's not attractive to me, but it was in that day. Look, well, let's see. It's Ezekiel 16. I'll tell you to look. Let me just read it for you.
Is that still popular over in that?
Sure it is. Some are really way out there. But when Ezekiel's prophesying about Jerusalem and how God is going to bring them back and beautify them, look how God beautifies Jerusalem. In Ezekiel chapter 16, and I'm going to start at verse 7, but you really need to go back and read from the beginning. The Lord says, I made you thrive like a plant in the field, and you grew, matured, and became very beautiful. Your breasts were formed, your hair grew, and you were naked and bare. When I passed by you again and looked upon you, indeed your time was a time of love. This is God talking to his children Israel and to Jerusalem. So I spread my wing over you, and I covered your nakedness. Yes, I swore an oath to you and returned and entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine, says the Lord. Then I washed you in water, yes, thoroughly washed off your blood. I anointed you with oil. I clothed you in embroidered cloth and gave you sandals of badger skins. I clothed you with fine linen and covered you with silk. I adorned you with ornaments, put bracelets on your wrist and a chain on your neck. And apparently the Lord's okay with the piercing. And I put a jewel in your nose, earrings in your ears, and a beautiful crown on your head. This is the Lord. He beautified Israel that way with jewelry and I think you can overdo it. You can look kind of gaudy, but hey, it was beautiful to Solomon. And he saw that. And the daughters of Jerusalem says, listen, in verse 11, we'll make you ornaments of gold and studs of silver. I'm going to make you some jewelry that will enhance your own personal beauty. This is going to be personally made jewelry for you, or Shulamite. And then you can wear, it'll enhance you even more. Boy, I got to be quick, don't I? Okay, so while the king is at it, and this is why the story doesn't flow to me. We're out in the tents, the shepherds' fields, and they're talking about the beauty and all that, and then now, at verse 12, while the king is at his table. The word table right there is a Hebrew word that means surround. It's round. It doesn't have to mean table, but it can be you're in my surroundings, you're on my couch, you're in my dwelling, you're where I belong, you're in my spot. So just pictured in your head, while the king is at his table, my spikenard sends forth its fragrance. So the spikenard is a plant that is a very expensive ointment imported from India. Because of the lady's servanthood, because of where she came from, chances of her affording spikenard is very, very slim. It was probably a gift, and this is how I look at it. It was probably a gift from Solomon himself, that he gave her the spikenard as a fragrance, as a perfume that she could put on. I'm not very good at that, but I know that there's some men that give their wives perfume for gifts. Praise God for you guys. I can't do that. I mean, I don't know what, but perfumes are often given as gifts. And spikenard was a very expensive gift. Not everybody could have it, but King Solomon could afford it. And he probably, in my opinion, now the Bible doesn't say, but I'm thinking because of where she came from, she's a servant, she probably couldn't afford it. Solomon probably gave her this spikenard, and this is what she did. I put it on. And while the king was at his table, my spikenard sends forth its fragrance. Wouldn't that make you feel good, guys, if you gave your wife this beautiful fragrance and for a gift, and then the next time that you were in the presence of your friends, you could smell, oh, it's my wife. Oh, she put it on. Oh, God. Can you imagine the love that he would have felt because she's wearing the perfume that he gave her? I mean, to me, it's a beautiful picture of love as he comes into a room and, you smell good. And then she goes on to say, a bundle of myrrh is my beloved to me, that lies all night between my breasts. Now, this is a metaphor. This is myrrh. It's again, it's an expensive ointment, and it's a fragrance that's used. But a lot of times they would take that myrrh. This myrrh, by the way, they use it even in embalmment. Well, it came from a plant, yeah. But they would take it and they would make an oil out of it, and they'd use this oil. But in many instances, as is the story right here, is they would take that myrrh and they would put it in a pouch. It's what it says. There's a bundle. I put a bundle of myrrh is my beloved to me. What she's saying is, I put this great fragrance in a pouch. I hung it around my neck, and it lays on my breast that when I sleep at night, I can smell it, and it reminds me of him. I dream about him. I think about him always. Why? Because you got this pouch next to you, and you're thinking about him all the time, and it just resonates with your mind as you sleep, and you're just dreaming about your prince and you and him together, and whatever you all may be doing. There's a love that's being displayed here, and I'm out of time. I think I can do this quickly. Verse 14. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blooms in the vineyards of En-Gedi. Henna blooms are just, again, we're talking about three different fragrances. This is my beloved. You remember how she said in verse 3 that you're an ointment. And your ointment, my beloved is an ointment sent forth, and I love that. It was his character. She loves the henna bloom. Why is that displayed? Because she says it's not just a henna bloom that you go down to Walmart and buy, or you go out into the field to pick. No, the henna bloom came from a place called En-Gedi. En-Gedi is a beautiful place. It's an oasis, if you will, out in the middle of a desert, dry land. It sits on the west side of the Dead Sea. If you ever get the chance to go to Israel, go to En-Gedi, and you'll see the only waterfall that's in Israel. It's a beautiful place. It's luscious. It's an oasis of beauty. It's a romantic place where people go. It's pictorious, where you go and get your picture taken. It's a place also that they grew the henna. They grew several different plants for makeup, for body lotions and things like that. And so it's not just a henna bloom, but it's a henna bloom from En-Gedi. It's a place that's out in the oasis that's just who my husband is. I believe they're married from the get-go, but regardless, it's a place where my husband is. He's these beautiful fragrance. I hang him around my neck. I wear it when I'm in his presence. He's like a henna blossom to me. I just love for him to be around me. I just love to smell him, and we just enjoy each other. Yeah, he had them out in the field. They was bearing calves, you know. He had a favorite.
I always think of this being his first wife, and then
Well, some believe that.
later.
Yeah, some believe that, but I don't, and because of chapter 6, verse 8 says there were 60 queens, 80 concubines. I think he was already married. I think when he went into the kingship, there was wives that came with the kingship, you know. But he had a favorite, and this is her. He's my life. You know, I like that woman.
Question, is there a reason that the blossoms, the henna grew in the vineyards? Was this something that...
Marilyn, I don't know the answer to that. I read a whole bunch of stuff about each one of the spikenard, the myrrh, and I couldn't find anything other than the fragrance and the beauty. The henna blooms grew everywhere, but she identified this place as where she got them. And I think it's probably more of this place that they grew there because it was romantic. It was, again, an oasis out in the middle of a desert, barren land. That's who my love is. Everything else around is dead, but he's beautiful, you know. That's how I see it. I don't know. I wish I could answer that better. But thank you, Father, for who you are. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to share